Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. What's up? I decided to come on camera and just talk to you guys about a couple of things that's just been on my mind. I've been trying to come up with how to say this and how to be honest with you guys, and I feel like I haven't been truly honest with myself at one point, and it was the reason why I was able to run away from it. But now that I'm going through this transitional period in my life, I know that I can no longer avoid this part of my healing process and my self-love process. If you guys don't know, I've been on this self-love and healing journey and just learning to love myself in a way that doesn't include my outer appearance. It has everything to do with what's inside of me. One thing I've learned is that true self-love involves showing up for yourself even when you feel unlovable or shameful. It involves taking the steps to listen to yourself, identify what caused you not to respect or identify your needs or boundaries. I feel like oftentimes I betrayed myself in situations where I knew I should have put myself first, or I knew what type of person that person was, or how I knew I should have set boundaries in order to protect myself. But at the same time, I grew up wanting to be that person that made everyone happy, that made everyone comfortable, and just giving people that type of love that I needed for myself. And I realized when you are trying to fill someone else's cup and yours is half empty, you're taken away from yourself and eventually you're left with nothing. And that's not the way that you want to go about it, especially when you have a passion for helping people. You want to give them your best authentic self. So with that being said, you guys, I'm going to go into how I've dealt with a lot of things and how I've come to the point of healing and self-love. So you guys, if you're new to my channel, then you know that I've spoke about this before, but I didn't go in depth about it because, you know, I couldn't at the time, and now I really can't speak on it. But you guys know I was sexually assaulted at work, and it was really hard for me to deal with. As an adult, you just never think it will be you. You just never think it will happen to me. You just always think like you will know what to do. But I'm gonna be honest with you, you never know what you're gonna do until you're actually in that position, facing that experience. You know, I feel like what impacted me the most was I was molested at the age of 9, and I felt like they gained my trust in a way that made it hard for me to trust people later on in life. When I was 9 years old, I told myself that I wouldn't let this define me. I wouldn't let this become who I was. And sometimes when people are sexually assaulted, raped, or molested, they go down two paths. One, they become very sexual, or they become abstinent of sex. And you know, there's no narrow path, but I knew that I didn't want someone who already taken my innocence to define the rest of my life. And as a 9-year-old girl, for you to have that mindset, I feel like that already showed the type of maturity that was already instilled in me, the wisdom that God already put inside me. And I wanted to use that wisdom and that maturity to be the best version of myself, and never to let that define me, and to use my testimony to help other people. So that's basically what I did. If you guys don't know, I started working with children, but what really hit me and what really helped me understand that I needed to heal was when I was working with this young girl who told me she was molested by someone she also trusted. That really took a toll on me. I couldn't believe that someone would want to do that to someone so young. You know, I used to think to myself, because when you're molested or raped, sometimes a little part of you wonders like, what could you have done differently? What did you do? Like, a lot of men like to say is, oh, what she's wearing, but I was 9 years old, barely developed. So what could I have been wearing to make this person feel like they could do what they did to me? As a little girl, what was she possibly wearing? What was she doing that made you think that you could do that to her? You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew it was all bullshit, excuse my language, but it was all bullshit. So I had to come to learn to heal from those things. And one way that I learned to heal from those things was to acknowledge that pain. You know, when you learn to love yourself, like I said, it's showing up for yourself even when you feel unlovable and when you feel shameful. And when things like that happen to you, you feel very unlovable. You feel very shameful, because why you, of all people, not that you would wish it on anyone else, but just why you feel ashamed, you feel dirty, you feel incomplete, like you don't know who you are. But one thing I learned when it came to loving myself was I had to learn to love myself and who I was, the good and the bad. And it's just not the outer appearance, it's also what's inside of you. So the first step to loving yourself is being willing to feel pain and take responsibility for your feelings. Whether you went through a similar situation like me, or whether you're in a place in your life where you feel like the people around you are not showing up for you in the way that you would, or you feel betrayed by those people, that is the first way that you need to show up for yourself. Because like I told you, if you have your cup half full and you're trying to fill everyone else's, you're eventually going to have an empty cup. You're going to feel drained. So the next thing that I learned to do was move with the intent to learn. If you guys don't know, I kept this pink journal. I would write it every day, and I started writing in it around last year, and I would find ways to love myself. I would find ways to talk about the things that were too hard for me to speak out loud to other people. One, I felt unheard by people. I felt misunderstood, and I felt like people didn't really care, you know, whether that was in my mind or that was something that was really happening. It made it really hard for me to talk about those things. So when I say move with the intent to learn, find ways to love yourself, find ways to understand your pain, what you're feeling, how it came about. Some of the of times when you're molested, sexually assaulted, or you've been betrayed by a friend or a family member, or you've been in a very traumatic experience, oftentimes when we're faced with that similar feeling or experience with another individual who may not even be doing anything to us wrong, it still draws that trigger, and we will respond in that situation the way we would have in our past trauma, if you know what I'm saying. So learning to love the good and bad, and not necessarily not that you are bad or there's a bad side to you, there's just a side to you that you need to understand that this is a part of who you are. It doesn't define you, it doesn't make you who you are, but it's a part of your life, and understanding it helps you grow as a person. The next thing is learn about your false belief. Learning about your false belief is like believing that you're unlovable, believing that you're not worthy of what you need, or having the same energy reciprocated to you, whether you are in the same situation as me or you're dealing with anything. Like, I'm not only talking about that experience, I'm also talking about what I went through back at home, like not feeling understood when I went through certain situations, and just trying to get my family to understand where I was coming from. Everybody felt like, oh, it's not that serious, you know, you should let it go. But if you're not feeling what I'm feeling, then there's no way for you to tell how serious it is to me. But understanding that the false beliefs in your mind that nobody cares, nobody's listening, nobody's there, and that you're all alone, it's not true. And you have to undo those things with positive affirmation, telling yourself like you are safe, and that what happened to you does not define you, and that you are loved, you are cared for, and things are simply going to work out for you. Another way that you can learn to love yourself is get closer to God. I know some people, they're not really into God, but let me tell you something. God is the number one thing that you need to come to terms with, that is going to help you get out of that negative space, okay? God is the one that has been through every single trial and error, every single trial and tribulation, and he's always going to be there. And oftentimes people feel angry at God because it's like, why would you let this happen to me? Why would you let this happen to a family member? Like, why me? I'm such a good person. And trust me, I've been there. But the thing about God is he's just like a parent. He can't protect us from all things, because if we did, we would be very naive to life and to struggles. The reason why we sometimes go through things is not because of God, it's because of the sinful world that we live in, the sin that is around us. And oftentimes we also go through things because they're there to mature us, to make us a better version of ourselves, to help us change those bad habits, or to become wiser. And sometimes the bad things that happen to us is also a testimony and our purpose in life, that we can help other people that need that love and that understanding and that guidance. So that's another way that I learned to love myself. And there's many ways, but this is a way that I believe really helped me, is take loving actions. Be kind to yourself. Talk to yourself as if you was a 5-year-old child. Do things that make you happy. Like for me, I like to go for walks, I like to read, I like to write, I love to journal, I love to just spend time in nature and just let my mind wander as far as it can go. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the best way that you could show up for yourself. I feel like a lot of my healing had to do with acknowledging that I am a worthy person and that I deserve a lot of the things that I want in life, you know, and that they're not just going to be handed to me, and that I have to actually work for them. So that's something that I'm coming to learn. I learned that I had a lot of healing to do, and when it comes to healing is not just meditating and avoiding your issues and your problems. Healing has a lot to do with facing what happened to you, facing those fears, facing those traumas, and actually understanding that what happened to you doesn't define you, but how you react to that pain and that trauma determines who you're going to be and where you're going to go in life. You know what I'm saying? Healing had a lot to do with forgiveness and letting them off the hook. Forgiving people has a lot to do with you. You know what I'm saying? It's for your own benefit. Even in the Bible it says it. You forgive people. And the thing is, I had a hard time forgiving people, because I feel like when you forgive people, you're letting them off the hook. Like, you're saying what you did to me was okay, and they're gonna do it again, and you have to hold them accountable, you know. But oftentimes that's not the way you should look at it. Forgiving people is for your own good. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people are going through their own trauma. Sometimes people don't know how to love you because they weren't in love. Sometimes people don't understand that they are hurting you because they're not aware of it, and you could tell them as much as you want to. I've been there, done that, but sometimes they simply cannot understand. And you know, sometimes you want to hold them accountable because it's more easier, but sometimes you have to look at yourself and say, you know what, I forgive you for the sake of my own peace and happiness. You know what I'm saying? Some people are growing at their own pace. Some people haven't even gotten there yet, and it's not even for you to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? So you always show up for yourself in the best way that you can. Another way that I learned to heal was I had to come to terms with some things are a part of life. Like, we're gonna go through things and you're gonna experience some hardships in life, but like I said, you don't let those things define you. You don't ever let them become who you are. Another way to heal is having a therapist, you guys. That was one thing that I wanted to avoid, like, at all costs, because I'm like, a therapist just listens to you speak and they're just like, not important. But one thing I've come to learn as I've been speaking to my therapist for a couple of months now is a therapist can help you realize a lot of things. And sometimes, you know, we often look to people to guide us, to give us the answers, but a therapist is not going to give you the answers. They're going to help you think and figure it out on your own. And when you figure it out on your own, that's when they go into depths about what it is that you're going through and why you may be going through it. And I've noticed that so much with my therapist, that she helped me realize so much about myself that I didn't even realize that I was avoiding, that was hurting relationships with people, that was holding me back. I truly believe therapy is a very good alternative if you feel like you can't talk to family and friends, if you don't have that support. Another way to heal is to give yourself time. It takes time, sometimes weeks, months, years. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. This is something that is a lifelong process, if you ask me. To accept what happened to you and to learn to live with it is not the easiest thing, and you have to be patient with yourself. And you have to, like I said, talk to yourself as if you were talking to a 5-year-old child. You know, be sympathetic and understanding of that pain that you went through. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's okay to ask for support, like I said, to ask a therapist. It's good to talk it over, to write it out. Sometimes you need to write it out because the thoughts are never ending in your mind, and that's not the way that you want to live, right? Another way that I learned to heal was movement and exercise. As trauma disrupts your body's natural equilibrium, exercise and movement can help repair your nervous system. Another way is going for walks, like I said, doing things that are self-soothing, things that get you back grounded. And I named a couple of things for you guys. Like I said, I like to read, I like to write, I like to go for walks. I like to do things that make me feel good. You know, there's chemicals in your brain that are let out when you do those things. So that's the best thing you could do. The last thing I want to say when it comes to healing is minimize self-blame and judgment. Oftentimes we blame ourselves why we went through this certain thing, and sometimes we don't even take accountability. We're just like, why did this happen to us? And at the end of the day, it's not the why. It's not the why. The why no longer matters because there's endless reasons why. It's just, what are you going to do now to overcome that? You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I'm coming to realize is this healing journey is a lot more than I thought it would be. And it's a process. It's a process I have to trust, and a process that I have to come to terms with and have patience with. And when it comes to ghosting people, it's not that I'm cutting people off and just like, oh, I don't want to be with you no more. It's just a simple fact. I feel like some people don't show up for me the way I would show up for them. And it may not be their fault. Maybe nobody showed up for them in the way that they should. And you know, I always believe like you should always remain true to yourself. Show up for them even if they don't show up for you. Always go out your way for people. But sometimes, like I said, if your cup is half full and you're trying to fill somebody else's cup, it takes away from you. And oftentimes that can mess with your mental. So you don't want to give too much when you don't have much to give. And that's the place that I'm coming to. I've dealt with a lot of things with family, friends, strangers that kind of help me understand who I am as a person, but it also caused a lot of pain and trauma. Where I was not able to reconnect with certain people. I was not able to connect with new people. I wanted to avoid certain conversations, certain topics, because I felt like it was just easier to go with the flow of the relationship. But you never want to do that, you guys. I feel like ever since I moved to Florida, a lot of people didn't reach out to me. A lot of people didn't even check in on me the way I would for them. And sometimes I do expect people to show up for me the way I would show up for them. But another thing that I've come to learn is everybody's not you. Everybody's not going to react in the way that you do, respond in the way that you do, show love in the way that you do. And oftentimes we have to show people how to love us because we all have different love languages. But I felt like I've tried with certain people and they still didn't show up for me. I feel like I apologize to people that have hurt me and should have been the one apologizing, you know. But like I said, forgiveness is more for us. And although we forgive people, it doesn't mean you have to still fuck with them. You can still be like, listen, it's all good and gravy over here. It's all love and peace here. We just are on two different levels, you know what I mean? And if we ever come back in life where we revisit each other and we vibe, and so be it. But right now, it's not working. And I feel like a lot of the people I call my friends around this time, like, they're the least ones to support me. Like, you guys are literally my family and friends, my whole support system. Like, strangers support me before my friends. And that was the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced. I don't know if my expectation was just so high, but it hurt so much. And I felt like my whole life I've been trying to fit in. I've been trying to find where I belong and just trying to please people around me to have a place in their life. But that's not the way you want to live. So it's just, I'm learning that I'm good by myself. Like, I want to get back to a place where I'm enjoying my own company, where I could do things alone and I don't need someone else to do it with. Even though it would be nice, but you know, I feel like moving here, people don't talk to me anymore. Becoming pregnant, I don't know if it's me moving here, me becoming pregnant, but it's just like people don't reach out, people don't talk. Like, they'll watch the stuff, but that's about it. They don't even like, comment, subscribe. They just watch, they don't interact. It's frustrating, but I'm just learning that it has nothing to do with with me, and I don't want to take it personal anymore. That's another reason why I'm ghosting people. Like, it's just, this is the time for me to heal, and I want to take the next few months before I give birth to do what I need to do to get back to that good place, because now I'm about to have my own child, and I'm about to have a black king, you know what I'm saying? And I need to teach him how to love, and I need to be emotionally stable and secure so I could be there and show up for him. You know, it's no longer about the outside things. Now it's about my son and about me and about God, you know what I'm saying? And that's just the way it should be. With that being said, you guys, I'm gonna end this video, and I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you so much for fucking with me. You guys always show up each and every time. You show your love for me, and I'm so thankful to have you guys as an outlet. And with that being said, you guys, you have to eventually come to terms with what's going on and face it. No matter how hard it may seem, no matter how scary it may seem, like I said, fear is fear within itself. You only give fear power when you feed into it, okay? And you take that control back by facing those fears. But I'm gonna see you guys in my next video, and that being said, I love you guys, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.